Hey friends, this is the Miss Wolfie from our half acre homestead. Don't look at my hair. Um, with an update. Now, I haven't got any video for today for the simple reason is there's just a lot of stuff going on right now. Like I said earlier, Briar is moving out on Tuesday, and we've had cousins dropped in on their way home to Prince Edward Island, and we had a lovely visit. We were up till like 1 o'clock in the morning just sitting by the pool and shooting the breeze and stuff. It was really cool. Haven't seen my cousin Sean in a long time. And his new wife, his bride, is just a lovely, lovely lady. But at some point, we had a bit of a we had a bit of a crisis last night. Sean and Brenda and I all got piled into the truck and went to pick up Briar from work because it was the only time they were going to actually get to visit him. And we listened to music on the way home and stuff like that. And Brenda and I sat by the pool and went for a swim and talked until the wee hours. And I came in the house and I said to Howie, we have no water. I turned on the tap and it just went gurgle, gurgle, nothing. So this was at like, this was at like 1:30 in the morning. So he went down and checked our pump, and the gauge, for some reason, it's threaded in or whatever, but something was broken, and our entire well drained into our basement. Now, there was a previously existing system under the subfloor, thank God, that any water that got into the basement would flow to all these tracks under the concrete down to a main drain and out into the ravine. Thank God that's what happened, because the only water damage there is in our old our utility room, where it was like 2 inches deep. So poor Howie, I don't think he slept all night worrying about what he was going to do, and could somebody have broken in and done this, because we still can't figure out how the gauge became unthreaded, because it's like pipe and it was threaded and in. So that was, we have no well right now. And thank God it's already refilling itself, but it's a slow process. And Howie has made an emergency trip to the hardware store to get all the parts he needs. So I don't have any cooking video or anything for you guys today. But I had people ask me some questions, so I thought I would answer them. One person asked me to tell them to describe how I quit smoking, because it was a battle. It was a real battle. Cigarettes were my monster. And I started quitting in 2001. And the way I did that was, we always smoked home rollies. I had less problems physically with home rolled cigarettes than I did with store-bought, or what we used to call tailor-made cigarettes. Because I think the canned tobacco had less preservatives in it, or less chemicals in it, because it doesn't sit on the shelf the same way a package of cigarette does, and for a very long time, right? So, but I started by quitting home rollies and going to a milder cigarette, which it may have worked here, but it actually made me sicker. These tailor-made cigarettes actually made me sicker, but it was the only way I could lower my nicotine intake. And over a year and a half, I went from home rolled cigarettes to the mildest cigarette you could buy at the time, which was, I believe, called Viscount 1. It was almost like sucking air. But even still, it took me 2003. In 2003, I got violently sick with bronchitis, bronchial pneumonia. And if it hadn't been for a cousin who phoned me and said, you sound like crap, and when I sat up, I couldn't breathe, she sent her sister, my cousin Dee Dee sent her sister Vanessa to me to take me to the walk-in clinic. And it was horrific. I'm sitting on an examination table in the walk-in clinic, coughing so hard I peed my pants. And I was just horrified and mortified and embarrassed. And the doctor told me right then and there, you have to quit smoking, or you're going to end up with emphysema really fast, really soon. This is killing you. So he gave me the patch, okay, and he gave me, there was a 3-step thing where strong, medium, and then weaker, and I probably was going to take like a month for each stage. I did it in 10 days because I found the strong patch that you were supposed to wear first, I wore 24 hours for the first time, even when I went to bed, because I would wake up in the middle of the night and have a cigarette. Wake up, go have a pee, and then have a cigarette, go back to bed. So, um, I, I waited until I had done the entire course of medication, and that's another thing. They put me on antibiotics for the pneumonia, antibiotics, prednisone, which is a really strong steroid, and 2 puffers, 2 inhalers. And normally I would get sick or something, which wouldn't happen too often, but I would get sick with a bronchitis or the flu or something. And the medication they gave me, I would feel better in 3 days and toss the medication out. Don't ever do that, because what happens is you're leaving your body vulnerable to the next time you get sick. It's going to attack you harder because you didn't completely, you just kind of put the illness to sleep, sort of. You didn't actually wipe it out. But this time I took all the medication I was supposed to for the entire 10 days, and at the end of 10 days I was still sick. Not as bad, but I was still sick. And I had enough. Now, folks, you got to hear this. I was one of those people who quit drinking, cleaned up my lifestyle and all these things. But everyone was like, oh, you quit drinking. Now you got to quit smoking. You should quit smoking. And it's like, no. I will go to my grave with a carton of cigarettes in one hand and a package of lighters in the other to get me to wherever it is I got to go, so that until somebody lights me up when I get there. You know what I mean? I was going to my grave with cigarettes and lighters just to make sure I was looked after. Excuse me, my chest is a little tight today. So, but nobody can make you quit. You can't quit for, I gotta quit because I'm gonna die, or I gotta quit because blah, blah, blah. You have to get to the point personally where you say, this is bullshit. I've had enough. I'm enslaved and I can't do this anymore. And that's the point I got to, where it was just wrong on so many levels for me. It felt wrong. Okay? So don't make the mistake that you think you can quit for somebody else. You're just going to end up resenting them. Or that you need to quit for, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. Attempt it, because I attempted a lot of times before I actually did it. So what I did was I took the strong patch and I wore it for 24 hours, and I found it was too strong. Because I had gone down to the mild cigarettes, right? And so it was too strong for me. It was making me jumpy and jittery, like I was full of caffeine, I was full of nicotine. So the second day I took it off at bedtime, and the third day I took it off at like 6:00 p.m. I would put it on as soon as I got up, and then I would take it off. And I took it off a little bit earlier each day. Now, go by your own, however you do it. But I did it in 10 days. Then I had a slip because somebody came over to visit and they were sitting on my deck. And I said, oh, give me a drag. And they didn't realize I had just quit smoking. And all those things. So it was an ongoing, and then we went camping and somebody gave me a cigarette. And it was an off again, on again thing, until I finally quit between 2000 and, like, completely quit between 2004 and 2007 when I had the car accident, where I totaled our car and I walked away from it. But the lady who helped me climb out of the ditch while she called the ambulance said, she was holding a coffee in one hand and a great big cigarette in the other, great big long thin thing. And I said, you got a cigarette? Because I was in shock. She said, yeah, you want a coffee with that? And she handed me a Tim Hortons coffee and a cigarette. And that was the last time I smoked. But make no mistake, the only way you can quit smoking, okay, is to be ready for it. To be so sick of putting that crap in your system that you just can't stand the thought of it one more time. It's the only way it works. So that's how I quit smoking, and so it was a real battle off and on for like 4 years. But like, that's why when I say I've been, when I lit that butt and thought it was a joint and I realized it was alcohol, you could hear my anger because I was like, "Argh!" You could probably hear my anger for an entire mile around the area because I was so mad. But that's how I quit, and I won't tolerate having it around me anymore. Um, Somebody else asked me. I mentioned that they have a son who wants to move to Canada because pot's legal and healthcare's free and all that stuff, and he just wants to come over here and live and smoke dope. And it's like, okay, it's not that easy. It really isn't. I advise you to watch the border security shows. And marijuana is not yet legal here in Canada. It is only legal for medical purposes. Now they're working on it, but there are a lot of things to living in Canada that people who are thinking of moving to Canada need to know. No, I'm going to postpone that restart. You can't just move to Canada. It doesn't work that way, son. I'm speaking directly to this lady's son. You either have to have a company sponsor you for work, and you really have to have kind of a skill set that can't be found anywhere else if you can't just come to Canada and get a job. You need a work visa. You have to prove that you have someone sponsored, an employer to sponsor you to come so you can get the work visa. And your health care isn't free unless you're a citizen of Canada. So in other words, if you're moving in here from the States, you got to have a job. You gotta have that job for so many years. You gotta prove your worthiness. Then you gotta go through all the steps to become a citizen, and then you have to, become Canadian. You can live here on a work visa, but your health care is going to have to come with you in the form of Blue Cross or Travelers Insurance or something like that. So being Canadian is a really cool thing. Getting to live in Canada and live on all the benefits, unless you're a refugee, it's not easy. Not at all. Not at all. And so many people have tried to just, I'm coming to visit, I'm coming to visit friends. And the border security, and how long are you staying? Oh, a week. And if they find your trunk is full of, clothes and personal items that look like you're going to stay longer than a week, they're going to question it. Then they're going to go through your text messages on your phone. And if you have anything that says, I'm a text message from a friend saying, oh yeah, come on, I got a job for you, and all that stuff, they'll turn you back. Then they will find it. So coming to Canada because you think the healthcare is great and the marijuana is legal, you're in for a rude awakening. So if you truly want to move to Canada or work in Canada, you have to go through all the proper steps, and it takes about 6 months to get all your ducks in a row before they'll let you come over here and work. So anyway, here's hoping that Papa has gone to the hardware store to get all the things to fix our well pump. And I have company, so I have to go make breakfast. Thank God Papa filled up buckets, a bucket to flush the toilet, and a bucket for my dishwater, and the kettle, and the coffee maker. And so until he fixed the problem, because we know he's going to fix the problem, because he's How. And that's how does it. He just finds the problem, figures out what it is, and he fixes it. Very practical man. Anyway, hopefully I will have a video for you in the next couple of days. Maybe this will be a how does it video. I somehow doubt it because he's really upset. He's really upset. Okay? How he got really upset. He's like, damn, now I gotta go to the store. That's the extent of how he's getting upset. So, I'll fix it. I just gotta take it apart. Just make me coffee. That's the extent of Papa getting upset. But for him to get to that point, he's really stressed out. So I doubt very much he's going to want to do a video while he's dealing with this. And I doubt I'll be able to get down the basement stairs enough times to actually capture it on video. So this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead saying it's going to be a couple of days, maybe. All right. I love you guys. Take care. God bless.